going live is to actually share my journey this year where I've been travelling. So what it is some of you may know that I started my journey a one-way ticket to Mexico last April, and I went on this crazy solo journey down across Mexico and down through Central America, where I ended up in Colombia, and I spent maybe almost 6 weeks in Colombia, and then I went home to England. But when I went back, I almost felt that I left my soul in Colombia, and there was something that was still holding me back there, saying that I should have stayed. So the reason why I'm going live today, many of you know and have seen, is that I'm going to share my ayahuasca journey this year in February, a few months back. And this is like an amazing experience that I just really want to share with everyone. So I want to begin by saying I'm not advising or suggesting anybody does this. This is not advice. This is not from a medical point of view. I'm not getting paid to promote the place where I went to do it. I literally just want to share my experience, and hopefully someone's going to gain some sort of insight or some information that they can use to benefit their lives. So I'm going to be looking down, because I've got two journals. I've got my own personal journal, and I've also got the ayahuasca journal from the retreat here as well. So I managed to write everything in there every single day. So I've got all of my notes inside here for the ayahuasca journey. And like I say, I've got my own personal journal as well. So I'm going to be reading from two journals. And anybody got any questions as well, please do put them in the chat. And I'll try and get to them as I'm going as well. So, right, so if anyone's just turning up, I'm going to be sharing my ayahuasca journey from February this year, where I come back to Colombia, and I actually done a 1 week retreat, ayahuasca retreat. So, like I mentioned, this is not medical or any sort of advice at all. This is just my own personal journey. So I want to begin by saying the reason why I want to share this today is because when I first started my journey of, say, sharing my story, my life story and my experience, I said to myself that I'm going to be totally honest with every single person that I come across, and I'll just be an open book, and I'll share as vulnerable as I can and share every single thing, because I've literally got nothing to hide. So I've been thinking about sharing this journey since February, but I've given myself a few months to just process everything and to get to a point where I feel comfortable to share, and where I feel comfortable that I'm going to be able to give you the best information from my own experience. So yeah, only a couple of people know that I've done this as well. I haven't told any of my family. Literally, I think 2 friends that I told them that I'm doing this, and then obviously the people that I've done it with at the retreat. So yeah, people are going to see this, and people are going to be like, oh my God, you're crazy, you're this, you're that. And I just want to explain the reasons why I done this, and maybe why other people potentially do it too. So for me personally, I started this whole journey of self-development and self-discovery back in 2020 mainly, where the year before I'd just come out of a 6-month depression after me and my ex-girlfriend, we broke up after a 6.5-year relationship. And when that relationship broke up and I saw my partner at the time in a restaurant with another guy, I remember I went to South Africa a few days later on the trip that we was meant to go to together, and I felt like a new man. But then when I come back was when I was depressed, living in that home alone. So I learned so much about myself in that deep depression, and I also learned a huge amount of tools to then help other people, hence why I went on this journey. But then also years before that, when I had my brain injury attack, when I was literally laying on my deathbed in a coma back in 2011, many of you have heard my journey, so I won't go over it too much, but yeah, back in 2011 I suffered, or I was attacked, and I suffered a blood clot due to a bleed on the brain and a fractured skull, because I was beaten in the left side of my head here. And yeah, the doctors wanted to switch off my life support machine because I had completely zero brain activity. I was completely brain dead. But then things happened over a week or two, and I did actually wake up. But before waking up, I was gifted an out-of-body experience, and some of you know this is a near-death experience. And look, I didn't believe any of this stuff before. I see it on TV, I've read it in magazines, books, newspapers, etc. when I was younger. I didn't believe any of it, but going through it myself, it made me question my life and just my whole existence and just this world that we live in. It isn't just what we see with our eyes, and there's so much more to it as well. So I wanted to understand it more. So yeah, like I say, being in that relationship for 6.5 years, and it was soon after that brain injury attack, soon after coming out, I literally boxed up and buried all of those thoughts, emotions, and I didn't process any of it. I just pretended like it never happened, and I never revisited my past. I just forgot about it. But then when COVID 2020 come round, it was like a blessing in disguise for me. And when I had some time off of work, when I was working at the garage full time as a car mechanic, I had 2 months off, and it allowed me to look back on my past and sort of dive deep into what had actually happened to me. And I remember sitting there in the garden with my mum and dad, and I asked my mum further questions that I didn't even know the answers to, of things that was happening in the hospital. And I remember my mum was just bawling her eyes out because obviously it was that bad. And it just made me think, like, why have I been sent back, and what was the reason for me for being sent back? Because even the doctor said, like, you are a walking miracle. This never happens, because the brain injury that I suffered, the severity of it, the majority of people either die or they're just in a wheelchair, disabled, in a vegetative state for the rest of their lives. But somehow, not even 1 month that went by, I walked out of there almost like nothing had happened. Yeah, I had crutches for a little bit, but for the injuries that I sustained, it was like nothing. And a few months after that, I was back and up to normal again. I was riding my motorbike and off I went. So yeah, I just wanted to know what was the reason for me, and trying to go, say, dive deep into myself and learn a bit more about myself, because that's one of the most scariest but the most rewarding journeys that you'll ever go on in life. And that's the journey of yourself, the journey of self-discovery, because so many people are looking here, there and everywhere, looking outside for all of the answers for their life. And I've done the same, you know, and all of the answers, everything that you need it's inside you already. Like, you have everything that you need in here and in here, but it's down to you to have the courage and confidence to say, look, I'm gonna go inwards, because the inwards journey is a very scary journey, but if you don't go within, you'll end up going without. So yeah, like I say, I just wanted to explore myself and my mind. And when I had that out-of-body experience, it made me realise, I honestly believe, from what I saw, like, it was like the most amazing, perfect mental movie that I saw of me literally dead on this bed. And I played this whole movie out in my mind in this out-of-body experience. And then when I obviously come out and look back on it, it made me believe that we as humans only know the true meaning of life is when we die. And that's my own opinion. Obviously everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but just from what I experienced in this out-of-body experience, wow, absolutely mind-blowing. So yeah, it's just made me learn to listen and trust my own intuition more. So something was telling me, when I started to work on myself throughout 2020 and then the years that were going on, to do some more things like breath work, meditation. And I remember I'd do breath work and meditation every single night for at least a year, if not 2 years. And it really, really helped me just get my thoughts and get my mind clear. And it just made me want to try and discover even more of what had actually happened to me. And then I started to do the research on these out-of-body experiences and how everyone that has them, they're all so similar, you know, like everyone sees the light, and everyone may see their whole life flash before them, or they may see, like I saw, like every single person I'd ever seen, family members, etc. Even family members that already died, I saw them. And I know people that I spoke to that have also suffered these out-of-body experiences. They all say the same or similar things. So something is going on in here which is making us do that. And when I've done my research, I come to the conclusion that there's something in the brain, there's a chemical called DMT. And DMT, apparently, from the research that's been done already, there's not too much research, but from what I've read, this DMT substance is released into the brains of newborn babies and the brains of dying babies. And hence why people who have these out-of-body experiences, when they have brain injuries, they experience this sort of hallucinogenic state, or these visions or visuals, etc. And apparently it's due to the DMT that is released into the dying brain. So I started to do my research on it, and again I go back to breath work. There's been many research that's been done on how people can use breath work to get DMT to be released into something that's called the pineal gland within your brain. It's a small little, like a bean-shaped gland, and it releases this DMT, and it can be done through breath work, etc. But then I also read and done research on that the lungs produce this DMT, because apparently it's in a lot of things like plants, etc. And it's in many things, but obviously it doesn't get released until certain things happen to release that stuff. So yeah, I want to just go about my whole experience and just tell you the reasons for why that I was doing this. And yeah, and anyone that's listening, I appreciate you for being here, and I sort of urge you to be a bit open-minded if you're a bit, say, not sure about this, or a bit, you don't believe in things like this at all. I just beg you to be a little bit open-minded, because I was similar until I actually done it myself. And you know, like I live my life now, especially, I don't like to just assume things, or to get an opinion from somebody else's experience, or from what someone else has said, or just like hearsay. I hear someone say something and then, oh, that's my opinion. No, that's bullshit in life. Like, you can only have a true, solid opinion on something if you've either seen it or done it or experienced it yourself. So for me, I like to experience things in life, because I like to go through it, see it, do it, have it, and say, right, this is what I had, this is what happened, and then give my own honest personal experience by going through things myself. Because, you know, in life, there's people that go through life, and they go through life thinking, what if? But then there's other people that go through life feeling what is. And I'm one of those people. I like to feel what is actually happening, what is going on, and just experience life for what it is. So anyone that is going to watch this, like the full episode, because it's going to be a little long, and I appreciate you for being here already, but anyone that watches this whole episode and listens to what I'm about to explain, I beg you to, or even challenge you, to just do your own research first before, say, commenting or making your mind up just from what I'm saying, or from what you've heard from someone else or read in the news, for instance. Do your own research, because there's been so many studies that have been done on ayahuasca and plant-based medicines, etc. So yeah, I just beg you to do your own research, because so many people hear things like, mushrooms or shrooms, or ayahuasca, DMT, for instance, and then they instantly think or say to themselves, drugs. Like, they think it's like this crazy drug. And, these things these are plants at the end of the day. They've been used for thousands and thousands of years in rituals and things like that, etc., by the indigenous people. So these aren't just like made in a lab or in someone's fucking shed or something and then just taken at a party. This is to find more about yourself. So yeah, obviously they are psychedelics and they are mind altering medicines, but I want you to understand that ayahuasca, like I say, is ancient, and it's been used among the indigenous people for years and years, especially in, say, South America. So yeah, I beg you to do your own research on that before, say, having your own opinion. So yeah, DMT, I can't really say how it is, but it's dimethyltryptamine. But then people can call it the spirit molecule, because people have been, or I'm going to tell you about it, but people have been said to go to, say, different planets or universes or dimensions, etc. And people that have never done their own research on this, they hear people saying things like this, like, I've seen the aliens, for instance. This is when I first heard about it a few years back. I see the aliens, and you think they're fucking crazy. Like, these people, they're gone mad. They're nuts. So yeah, if you haven't experienced this yourself or done any research, just look it up a little bit and maybe watch some videos, read some books, etc. So yeah, I the reason why I wanted to do this is, like I say, because of my own experience with the near-death experience when I was in hospital back in 2011 on my deathbed. I wanted to try and discover a way of maybe reliving that experience or going back to that place where I was, because, you know, as I watched myself, I'm not going to explain it all now, but as I watched myself laying there on that hospital bed from above, and doctors were working on my broken head, they were just working there. It was the most perfect, peaceful thing that I've ever seen and experienced and felt in my life. And the way that I explain it is just pure bliss, you know. Like, I was just watching myself. And again, in this place where I was, there was no concept of time, space, anything. Nothing existed, you know. Like, this thing was just forever. And I just watched forever. And they just worked on me. And it was so amazing. And then, yeah, the most important thing was when I saw all of those people at the end, the faces. But yeah, so the reason why I wanted to do this was to get back there. And yeah, like I say, these are mind-altering medicines, for instance. And I've heard a lot of podcasts and I've read books, I've read articles where a lot of people can use this as recreational, say a drug, and they just use it to have fun with their friends. But that's not what it's intended for. It's, like I say, it's been used in like shamanic rituals for thousands of years for people to get their mindset right and to get clarity on what they want in their lives, etc. And to see things that the eyes can't see, you know, with just your normal vision. So, yeah, I've heard that, say, a lot of millionaires, even billionaires, have made like the best decisions of their life when under the influence of, say, a mind-altering substance like ayahuasca, for instance. They've managed to come up with the best ideas and build their businesses just from doing, say, a week or 2 week or a month ceremony, whatever it is. So, yeah, like I say, just do your own research on that as well. So, I'm going to go to the next page. Yeah, so when I was in Mexico last year, I'd never done really anything like this, any psychedelics in my life. When I was younger, like, I was always the opposite to the people that I hung around with. Like, everyone smoked cigarettes, I didn't do it. Everyone smoked weed, I didn't do it. Yeah, obviously I tried weed before, like a couple of times. It just gives me a sore throat, so I don't bother. The only drugs that I'd done in my life was I was sniffing cocaine when I was depressed back in 2019. I thought that cocaine was the answer to all of my problems, and yeah, for maybe half an hour it was, but then after that it was just 20 times worse, and yeah, things were going downhill to the point where I planned to commit suicide. And yeah, if you want to know more about that story, ask me and I can send you videos, etc., or I can explain it to you. But the only other drugs, like I say, that I'd done in my life were just, I'd done cocaine for, yeah, maybe a couple of months when I was depressed. But then, yeah, I want to talk about the difference between, say, DMT or your ayahuascas and your cocaines, for instance. Because, let me just say, okay, yeah, so here, so, like, for instance, like I was saying a moment ago, when I heard about DMT for the first time, when I done, say, or even before I done research on the pineal gland, I heard someone was doing DMT and I didn't even know what this shit was. I was like, what the fuck is DMT? Like, I just heard that you smoke it and it sends you off to see the aliens, and everyone was saying, like, whoever does this, they're like crazy, they're like a nutter, like we say in England, they're a nutter, like, stay away from them, they're crazy. So yeah, some people, like I say, do these things for recreational use, and it's not what they're intended for. They're intended to find more about yourself. So yeah, it's meant for, say, the use of identifying personal problems in your life. And yeah, like I say, it's not just a one-off thing. Like, yeah, things have potentially gone wrong in the past where people have done, say, ayahuasca or DMT, for instance, and something's gone wrong. But there's like a strict diet that you have to have for your body. Like, you need to prepare your body. Like, for me, I prepared for minimum 2 weeks before, where there was like no sex, no kissing, no alcohol, like no nothing, no negative thoughts, just healthy diet, vegetarian diet only. And it was just like, look after your body like really, really well for a solid 2 weeks before minimum, just so your body's in like its optimum state, ready to receive the medicine. So yeah, I remember I purged my body, I cleared my body out. And then also for 2 weeks as well, I had solid intentions, which I had before, but I made sure that I had these solid intentions where every single day, twice a day, in the morning, in the night, I'd read my intentions to myself, what I wanted to try and experience from this ayahuasca experience. Because, you know, ayahuasca, it doesn't always give you what you want, but it always gives you what you need. So you can go in there with the best of intentions, but it's always going to show you what you've got deep in your subconscious mind that you've been hiding from yourself. It's going to show it to yourself, but it's going to guide you through it. So yeah, like how like I said a moment ago, like how is this different to other drugs, for instance, like your cocaines? So like I say, for instance, when I was doing cocaine, when I was depressed, it was to forget my current reality. I was just trying to forget what was going on in my life. And I just thought, yeah, if I sniff cocaine and if I drink alcohol, I'm just going to be so much better. And it really wasn't, you know. So like I say, people were sniffing cocaine on a daily basis to avoid their current reality. And I had the same, like I say, with my depression. But then, let's say ayahuasca, on the other hand, it shows you your problems, but it also guides you through the process of, say, dealing with and overcoming those issues. So it'll hold like a mirror up to your issues or your problems, and it say, look, this is your challenge in your life. This is what you're struggling with, but I'm going to show you how to get through it. Yeah, it's going to be difficult, but there's only one way through. Like the only way out of your current situation is through that current challenge. So you need to push through the pain in order to get through the other side. So yeah, that's what the ayahuasca medicine does, rather than say the opposite, which people are taking the cocaine and it's to say forget their current life, when ayahuasca is to take them on a journey to discover themselves and to find their true life, to find themselves again. So many people say like this is a dangerous drug, like it's the worst drug in the world, and it's harmful. But you can't say that if you haven't experienced it yourself or done your research, for instance. Like you need to do your own research and you need to find this out for yourself. And again, I'm not telling anyone to go out and do it, but just do your own research before believing what you hear in the media. Yeah, and like I say, of course, people have had bad trips. Like I've heard stories where people have gone to Peru, for instance, and they've gone out on the piss with their friends on the weekend. Yeah, they've got really, really pissed, and they're like, oh, yeah, they do ayahuasca in Peru. We've heard a place that does it, and we're going to go for the weekend, and we're going to do a ceremony there. And they've got all this shit, all the toxins in their body. Maybe they're taking antidepressants, which is really, really, really strongly forbidden. Like, you cannot take antidepressants with the ayahuasca because they don't mix together. It's like opposite. And that's when things can go really wrong. So people haven't prepared their bodies, and they go into this just thinking, oh, it's a bit of fun, and they're going to try it. And that's maybe when you're going to hear these horror stories where people have potentially had, say, bad effects or even died, you know. Like, yeah, obviously people have died from this as well, but then people have died from sniffing cocaine. You get a bad batch of cocaine in a bag, and it's going to kill you, you know. Like, you don't know what shit's in that. So this is just, say, a plant. This is from Mother Earth, from the ground, and it's been used to, say, help people gain visions and help them out with their current challenges in their life, rather than, like I say, cocaine to forget their reality, you know. So yeah, like I say, just make sure you prepare yourself if you was to go through with this. But again, like, I'd highly recommend you do your research before even thinking about doing this. Look at the place, do your research, get reviews from other people, etc. But then you need to listen to what to say what the shamans tell you, to what they're going to advise you and what you need to do to prepare yourself beforehand before going anyway. So you need to do your research if you're ever thinking of doing something like this. But yeah, just on that sense of where people have potentially died or things have gone wrong. Look, this happens all the time. Like, for instance, I wrote here, just imagine if you was to Google something like negative side effects of drinking red wine. How many fucking reviews and stories are going to come up of someone had one glass of red wine from Lidl and they fucking died or something like that, you know? There's so much shit on the internet. You cannot believe every single thing that you read because most of it is bullshit. And on the other hand to that, if you Googled positive effects of red wine or positive side effects of red wine, I'm telling you, there'll be so many reviews and stories of where people have drunk a glass of red wine and it's cured their acne or something. I don't fucking know, but you know what I'm saying? Like, people write crazy shit online, so you cannot believe everything. And it's the same for, say, ayahuasca or something like that, because whatever you read online, you're going to find, like, what you seek, you will find. So if you start reading stories, you're just going to come up with all this crazy shit, and it's going to send you down a rabbit hole, and you're going to get lost forever. So just be careful with what you read and what you hear from other people. Do your own research, do your own due diligence, and that's that. So yeah, like I say, I want to talk to you about my ayahuasca ceremony. So I'm going to bring over my other journal now. Like I say, if anyone hasn't seen this, this is the journal that they give you. So I'm going to begin by just telling you a little bit about the place, and how I found it. You know, so when I was in Colombia last year, I went all the way down to Cali, and that's the home of the salsa. So I was in Cali and I was learning how to salsa, and I met an English guy, and he was talking about this ayahuasca trip, and I was like, oh, it sounds really cool. Like, the whole way that I travelled down through Latin America, something was telling me to experience this, but I never got the opportunity, you know. And when I was in Mexico, I was making my way down through Oaxaca, and there's a place called San Jose del Pacifico, I believe, off the top of my head. And this is like the place that is known for doing mushrooms. I'd never done mushrooms. I just wanted to go there just to experience the place because it looked beautiful. And the hostel sold mushrooms. And I met some people there, and I'd done my research, and I was in a really, really good headspace at the time. And I'd done my research on the mushrooms. Obviously, I'd done it beforehand as well, when I was looking into my brain injury and what I experienced in that out-of-body experience. And you can also get similar things through mushrooms, depending. So, you know, look, I'm an open book. I like to try things. Like I said earlier, I like to experience things in life. I don't like to just have an opinion and not even try it myself, like just from what someone else has said. So I met a group of people in the hostel, and yeah, we decided to buy a pack of mushrooms each, and we went up into the mountains there, and it was so peaceful up there. And we took these shrooms, and we just sat there, and we was all giggling with each other, and we just said it's not doing anything, but obviously it was starting to take effect. And then when we walked down, we was all just having the best time of our lives, you know. And for me personally, I just had the most peaceful and bliss experience. Like, I felt so at peace, and I felt my mind was just completely clear, and I just felt so happy, you know. When I done these shrooms in Mexico last year, I felt so happy, and I just felt so chilled out, you know. So I was walking down through the forest, and I just felt like everything was okay in my life. Like, nothing, there was no problems in my life, and everything was fine. And again, like, people were probably hearing this, like, oh, you took shrooms, you're crazy. Like, listen, there's so much research that's been done where people have taken mushrooms and used them for like, I can't even say the word, medicinal purposes, and they've had so many good side effects to do with things like mental health issues, depressions, etc. Literally cured or almost cured people's mental health issues that have had them for years on end. And again, this isn't medical advice. I'm not telling you go and do some shrooms and you're going to be fine if you've got anything going on in your life. But the research is there to show that it's been proven to have great effects on people's mental health. So again, if this is something that you're interested in, do your own research, and the data's out there, the people have done the studies on it, so just check it out, and it's really, really, really interesting as well. So like I say, I felt so peaceful when I done those, hence why there was something that was telling me that I needed to do this ayahuasca. So like I say, when I got to Cali in Colombia, I met an English dude, and yeah, he had just done it the week before. He'd gone on this week-long ceremony, this experience, and he said it was absolutely amazing, and it was like life-changing. It was incredible. So I asked him more about it, and yeah, obviously very, very interested. So I started to take notes, and yeah, I took note of the company, the name of this place. I looked up all of the reviews. I went on their website. I went on their Instagram. I've done as much research as I possibly can over the next month or two, and yeah, it all checked out okay. It seemed absolutely incredible, and again, the price was amazing. And listen, this isn't. Don't just do it because of the price, but the price is so brilliant. And for what I got in that experience, like no amount of money could have paid for that experience. What I got, So, and I'm sure it's the same with other retreats as well. But like I say, for me personally, I thought it was absolutely amazing for everything that it was included. So I decided to go ahead and book it. So yeah, I got back to England for Christmas, and again, I just made sure, double checked everything, made sure everything ticked out okay, and yeah, I felt a bit nervous, obviously, booking this for the first time, because if you haven't done anything like this, especially something like this, which people say, oh, it's crazy, it's a drug, it's going to change your mind, you're going to blow off into space and stuff, it's really scary, But then something was telling me inside, like, I had to do this. Like, I knew deep down inside something was calling me to do this, because I want to explore myself more, and this is say an avenue or a way to do that. So yeah, like I say, I went back to England, done all of my research, done more and more research, got my mindset even clearer, done so much journaling, set my intentions, and then boom, I booked my ticket back to Colombia. Not just for this, but just for my travels. But this was the part when I first got back to Colombia earlier this year. So yeah, I paid for it. I flew back to Cali. I started in Cali again and spent a bit more time there dancing, and then I made my way up to Medellin, and yeah, that whole week there. So I've done a week in Cali where I've been preparing my body. All I've been doing is just dancing, and that was it. Then I got to Medellin, and all I done was just write, journal, meditate, to keep my mindset right. I ate so clean that week. Obviously the week before as well, but that week especially, I ate super clean, and my body was just ready for this. And inside, there was just something telling me, like, you're ready for this. Like, the nerves were there a little bit, obviously, still, but I just felt, again, at peace, and I just felt this is my time, like, to experience this, because I feel like you shouldn't go into this experience just because it's something that sounds fun, or because you've heard someone else has got something amazing from it. You have to feel it inside your own body and just know, like, you'll feel it in here. Like, it'll tell you, your intuition will tell you this is the right time for you. So yeah, it was my time. So yeah, it come to say the day of doing it, and yeah, we go to the meeting point in the bus stop there, or in the shopping centre, and we met each other, and there was a whole group of us, and it could have been like, let's say, it could have been like you're from 20, 25 years old up to maybe 55, 65 years old, like all ages, all types of people, every single background, religions, you name it. It doesn't matter what colour, what size you are, what shape you are. Everyone and anyone is welcome, and this is for literally anybody. Like, anybody can come to this, and if you're called to it, you're going to go there. So it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. It brings these people together all on this same mission, this same intention, to find out more about themselves and to heal anything that's going on in here. So yeah, we arrived there, and yeah, it just felt amazing on the bus there. Like, we was all chatting with each other, and straight away we almost felt like just a family together. Because we was all on the same mission. And in life, I've mentioned this many times, it's so important to surround yourself with people who are on the same mission as you, because if you don't, it's going to be like carrying a 10-ton weight on your back up your ladder of life. It's going to be so much more difficult when you're surrounding yourself with people that are going on opposite paths. But when you find your true crowd, you're not even going to have to try to be anything but yourself, because you're going to fit in and you're just going to blend in with those people, because you're all heading the same way. And that's in any area of life, whether it's in family, relationships, business, etc. So yeah, we just all fit in with each other, and then we were so happy. We got there, we put our bags, we introduced each other, we got this huge word circle, and we just it went on for hours, I believe, and yeah, we just talked about our intentions, why we're coming here, like who we are, what our past have been, what have been some of the challenges, maybe what shit we've been through in our lives, and what we want to maybe heal or explore further about ourselves. So yeah, we sat there in this word circle, which was amazing for ages, and yeah, it was so good, and we just learnt a bit more about each other. And then yeah, that night that evening or that afternoon even, we were given our journals. Like I said, I've got the journal here. It's a beautiful wooden hardback journal. So yeah, we got our journals, and then it's got everything inside. So literally, I'm not going to go through all of it, but it tells you every single thing, like what you need to do, what you're probably going to experience here, like what you should expect. It tells you about the medicine, the ayahuasca. It tells you about the difference between the types of ayahuasca. It tells you what to expect. Types of ayahuasca experiences, so it gives you some examples of, say, people's experiences, what they might see or hear or feel, for instance, how to get the best results by having the right mindset. It also tells you to surrender and let go and let the medicine and be open. You know, you have to be open. And like I said earlier, like, you need to be open in life, because you need to go through life and be open to opportunities. And the reason I'm going to say this is because, like, your mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it isn't open. And if you go through life with a closed mind, you're going to find yourself up against so many closed doors. So you need to be open-minded and be curious, you know, go through life being a lifelong learner. Be curious about things. Don't just have an opinion on something and just shut off, because if you shut the door on every single thing that comes to you just because you've heard someone else say something, or you've read something in the paper, or heard something on the news, you're going to go through life and you're not going to get the most out of this amazing experience and this amazing short period that we have on this life. Like, you need to experience life, be open to opportunities. So yeah, be more open-minded. So it tells you also about the integration, about talking about your journey, about writing, about going through the whole process. Like, everything's in this book or this journal. Yeah, it tells you about the steps that you need for the integration, and then it gives you the pages here where you can write out. I didn't do it in here, this part, because I've done it in my own personal journal. It asks you how you feel, how did your body feel. There's so many amazing questions in here to help you get the most out of the whole experience, you know, to help you sort of look here, reflecting and reconnecting, which is really, really good. So everything's in this journal that you need. And then it tells you what you need to do to move on from your experience as well. Yeah, okay, right, so I'm going to start talking about my experience now then. So thank you everybody that's still here now and still listening. I really appreciate you. Thank you. So yeah, so we got there. Like I say, we connected with each other. We introduced ourselves, and then we went to our rooms. And yeah, we went to our bed, and we prepared for the ceremony the next day. So in total, there was 4 ceremonies, and it was 2 night ceremonies to begin with. Then we had a break day in the middle, and then we had 2 day ceremonies. And each ceremony, you can have up to 3 cups of ayahuasca. And the cups, it's like a small shot glass. So, yeah, we got there and we went to bed that evening. So the first day that I woke up, so the day after we arrived. So I just want to just go through a few things on my notes. So I'm going to be looking down here just to read off of my notes. So, yeah, the first day I woke up, and I always wake up in crazy time in the night. Always. Like, there's not really a day that I don't wake up sort of around 5 a.m. ever. I think the latest I've ever woke up is like just before 6. I never wake up late at all. So, and sometimes, like I say, I wake up crazy times. So this first day, I wake up at 3:30 a.m. But then I managed to go back to sleep after I woke up. And then the birds were beep, beep, beep. And then around 6, they woke me up again. So, yeah, I remember I just done some things on my phone quick. And then I went and took a nice cold shower. And it felt really good. So then I took this journal, and yeah, I went outside and I felt calm, I felt excited, and I also felt really, really interested, and interested in what today or the day would bring, and just to meet everyone and learn more about the other people that were obviously coming to the retreat to do the same thing as I was. So yeah, I said to myself, I wrote here, I'm going into the first ceremony tonight with a completely open mind, and I trust that the medicine will introduce me to the power of the possibilities that it has to offer, and I surrender to any blockages, and I'm willing to let go of anything I may have been holding on to which could be preventing me from making the most out of this experience. So yeah, I just wrote that in my journal, and I just meditated on it a bit, you know, as well, because I just wanted to get my mindset clear and right. I didn't want to have these negative thoughts or worries about, oh, what could potentially go wrong and all this stuff. Like I say, it's a bit nervous, but you have to trust things in life, because if you go through life being nervous of every single thing, you're not going to push yourself and you're not going to make the most out of this amazing experience. You know, if you live your life, say, boxed in by the tall walls of your comfort zone, you're never going to experience truly and fully what this wonderful world and life has to offer you. So just be open-minded. Yeah, things are going to be a bit nervous at times, but you just know to trust the journey and go with it, you know, just trust the path that you're on. So I was trusting the path that I was taking now with this ayahuasca journey, and I was curious to see, hear and feel what the experience had to offer that evening. So yeah, I just wrote here, I had an amazing experience with one of the women there, and we just shared stories about ourselves, and yeah, we really connected at one point, so it was really nice. And then yeah, we had our first word circle that day. So everyone got there and we just prepared ourselves. Again, we just told each other of any sort of fears or doubts that we have, and we just got it all out in the open, and we just made each other feel comfortable by each other's presences. And yeah, we just sort of was like almost like cheering each other on to say, like, I hope you have a good experience and I hope you get what you've come here to experience and feel. So yeah, we was all there just sort of almost looking out for each other, you know, so it was really good. Yeah, so I just said to myself here on my journal, I said I felt ready and excited to see and feel what the medicine brings, and I trust the journey. So the first night of taking ayahuasca, sorry about that, I've just got to drink a bit of drink. So yeah, the first night of taking the ayahuasca. So I remember we was there and we was all laying on our beds there. So we had mattresses sort of outside, inside, under the whatever you call it, and we're all laying there on our mattresses. And then the shamans or the titers, they come round, and like the medicine men or whatever you want to call them. So they come round and they sort of cleanse the area with like the special there's like a special brush. It's like made out of leaves, and it's been used in the ceremonies for years, and they spray the spray and they do their chants and their rituals, and they just cleanse the whole area, and they get it clean for the energy, basically, for everyone to have a good experience. So yeah, they cleanse the area, and we were all just laying there. We felt peaceful, we felt good, and this is at 6 p.m. when it starts. 6 p.m. in the evening. So they do that, and then they come round and they sort of look at people, and then they go up and they prepare the ayahuasca, they prepare the medicine. So you can see them, they're there and they're whoosh, whoosh, and they're doing, and they're preparing it, and they're praying to it, and they're just thanking it, and they're doing what they need to do. Obviously they've been doing this for years and years and years, and they've learned it from their parents and their parents, etc. So this has been passed down through the generations. So they do what they need to do, and it's just incredible to watch this whole experience unfold. And we're sat there, and then we get invited up to take the first cup. So I remember I walk up there, and I go up, and I'm first up to take the cup, and I was feeling a little bit nervous, but I said, look, this is my time. This is when I trust the journey. So I go up and I look at the title, the shaman, I look him in the eyes, and he looks me in the eyes, and he sort of scoped me out, and it's almost like he looked straight into my soul, and he was looking at me, and he's looking at me like this, and then he looks, and then he makes a decision of how much he's going to give you just by looking in your eyes, and then he pours it out, and it's just a full cup, like a shot glass of this black, sticky tar syrup stuff. It just looks like tarmac, and he pours it in this cup, and I'm looking at it. Wow, I can smell it. It's like a sweet smell, like a sweet, I don't even know how to explain it, like a unique, sweet, sticky smell. And I put my hand out to take the cup, and he looks at me, and he nods at me, and he gives it to me, and I thank him for giving it to me. I thank the ayahuasca, and I just say maybe a little prayer to myself, and then I take the shot. I take it, and I just feel this fluid just run down my throat, and it just goes all the way down my throat, and I just feel it literally instantly. It just fills up I could feel it almost like filling up my lungs and my chest, and it was just so sticky that it just come down. But it tastes really yeah, the first day it tastes really, really sweet, and I thought it actually tastes okay, you know. And I remember there was a guy behind me, also close to London, and or from London, and he goes, "How was it?" I said, "It's pretty good. It's pretty good." So I walked back to my mattress and I lay down there, and yeah, I'm just laying there and I'm just saying thank you to the ayahuasca. Thank you for coming to my body. I invite you. I welcome you in. Like, show me what you need to show me. Do what you need to do, and yeah, just sat there, and I just thought I'm just going to trust the journey. So I lay there, everyone else gets theirs, they come back and lay down, and we're just laying there. And I didn't really hear nothing and see nothing. I just had my eyes closed. And yeah, 1 hour goes by, and I didn't really feel anything. I kept saying thank you to the medicine, and I kept telling her that I'm ready to go on this journey, like, show me what you need to show me. And I said, I'm ready for you to show me anything that you need to, even if I think it might be scary or I'm a bit fearful. Like, I trust the process, and I welcome you to invite me to show me anything that you need to. And again, maybe 2 hours go by, and I started to get this watery sensation in my mouth, like this feeling of water come to my mouth, like where I wanted to be sick, you know, like where I want to purge, like, because that's part of the process. You need to purge, you need to get everything in here out. So we had our own little buckets, and they said to us, like, this bucket is your best friend. You take this bucket everywhere you go, because who knows when you're going to be sick. So I had my bucket next to my bed, and I'm looking at the bucket, and I could just feel my mouth getting watery, and I'm like, I'm going to be sick. And no, nothing was happening. I was just laying there. But then I think I heard a few people vomit, and I'm just like, nah, nothing for me. But so I laid there for a bit, and then yeah, we were getting ready. After a couple of hours, we was getting ready, or we got invited for the second cup. And yeah, I go up there, and yeah, I accept the medicine. I thank the shaman or the taita for giving it to me, and I welcome it into my body after I drunk it. And yeah, I go back to my bed and I lay down. And yeah, I remember that I started to see these colours, and they were very faint. But I think it was like green and red, sort of like misty clouds. And I'm just like, am I making this up in my own head? I just thought I'm making this all up. So yeah, I had my eyes closed and I'm laying there. And then yeah, things started to happen. Like, things started to happen in my mind. I'm just like, am I making this up? Like, am I just going a bit crazy here? Am I overthinking things, or is this it doing what it was doing? And then yeah, I started to see things happen, like these colours, which were very faint to start with, but then it started to turn into this revolving slideshow. Like, this is what I wrote here, and it reminded me, like, it just from thinking back now, it's like this giant rolling pin shaped cylinder, and it was like a slideshow, but things kept changing, and I couldn't understand what was going on. But it was almost like this rolling pin was going round, but then there was like cartoon characters that were stuck to this rolling pin. And again, I don't fucking ask where this comes from. I don't watch TV, I don't watch cartoons, and yeah, I remember the cartoons. It was Simpsons characters, only a few, but mainly Family Guy. I've seen Family Guy like half a time maybe, but I've never watched this shit, and I've seen like clips of it on the internet. But I see like the Family Guy characters stuck to this rotating rolling pin, and they were just like going around it, and they were just staring at me, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I really couldn't understand it. So again, I'm just like, I trust this journey, I trust the process, whatever I'm seeing, I don't know what it means, but I just trust it. And again, I don't know how long this went on for, but it just went on forever. Yeah, so then next, I remember, yeah, that was it. I was laying there, and I opened my eyes, and I'm looking around at people, and then I hear people being sick and Persian, and I'm just like, this is fucking crazy. Like, what is going on? Like, I just couldn't. Obviously, I knew what I was doing. I was doing an ayahuasca ceremony, but it was just so surreal. Like, I was just like, is this real? I don't understand. And then as I lay down on my side, so I lay down on my right ear. It was I lay down on my right ear, and my right ear began to pop and crackle, and I mean like really, really bad. And I've never like, even on the plane, like, you get it a bit, but this was like, it was almost like there was a firework in my right ear. It was just popping constantly, and what it felt like, it was like I was leveling up in altitude. Like, it felt like I was getting higher and higher. That's like the feeling in my body as I was laying there. It just felt like my body was raising up, and I just kept hearing my right ear pop, 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 and it wouldn't stop. And then, like I say, I wrote here, soon after my stomach began to churn and my mouth become really, really, really watery. My stomach was just like, and it was like a really bad stomach feeling. Like, it was like a washing machine feeling. Bearing in mind, my right ear is going bam, 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 and my stomach's just rumbling. And then something inside was just like, my mouth was going again, and I was like, I'm going to be sick. So I look up and I see my best mate, my bucket, sat there at the end, pick it up, and I just purged, and it all come out. And yeah, I mean, it's not nice being sick, is it? Obviously, but it didn't last long, maybe 10 seconds or so. Got it all up, and yeah, I felt so much nicer, and I felt so much better. Sharon, my friend, said, "You're not selling this." No, honestly, Sharon, keep listening. So yeah, I felt so much lighter and so much better. So I was laying there with my eyes closed, and then yeah, I started to feel like I didn't exist. Like, I just felt like I didn't exist anymore, and I'm laying there, and I could just feel my body just disappearing. Like, my body was melting away. Like, I can't explain it. Like, this how I explain it. Like, I was laying there, but I could just feel step by step my head was going, and then my nose, mouth, neck, and my whole body was just disappearing. And I'm just laying there, and I just felt my body literally melting and dissolving. So yeah, that was it. And then I remember at one point I sit up, and I just felt the real desire or need to look out for other people. So I started to look at other people, and then I noticed that other people were going through their own unique journeys, and I saw people that had pain, I saw people that had joy, happiness, I saw people that had all these emotions that were just coming out. And it made me feel so happy inside. Like, I felt so good just looking at other people. Even I saw people crying their eyes out, and it made me feel happy. Not because they were sad, but because I could see them sort of releasing their trauma that they had built up inside of them for years, you know. So it just made me feel so good about myself, just that I was surrounding myself with these people, and I noticed that they were also going through the same journey of healing themselves. So yeah, like I say, I just watched this go on for hours, and it felt so good, because yeah, people were surrendering to the medicine, and they were letting, say, their demons out, because they had so much shit built up inside of them where they've just kept it trapped. And you know, like, emotions are the reporters of the soul. Like, emotions are meant to be felt. When we're happy, we should feel happy, and we do feel happy. We tell everyone, we put up a fucking Instagram selfie of how happy we are, sat outside a fucking pub or a bar with a cocktail, for instance. But when we're sad, we still feel the need to always be happy. That is not the case. Like, emotions are there to be felt. Like, unexpressed emotions will never die, because they're buried alive, and they will come forth later in much uglier ways, you know. Like, we need to get these emotions that are in here, we need to get them out and feel them. Like, if you're angry, feel angry, go find somewhere, go find a boxing bag and beat the fucking shit out of it for an hour, get it all out, and then just go again. If you feel sad, go sit and cry, go and speak to someone, go and cry with your best friend. Like, it's okay to get all these emotions out. So yeah, when I experienced that first night of the ayahuasca, I was looking, I saw so many people getting these buried deep down emotions that had been in their body for a long time. They were getting them out, and it made me feel really good. But then after I started to see that around me, I didn't feel the need to lay back down or close my eyes. I just felt cool to sit up on the back wall there and just look and watch and observe and look out for everyone. Like, I felt the need to just almost be protective of other people. So yeah, I remember I just plumped my pillow up and I just sat there, and people were being sick, and people were laughing, people were crying, people were screaming, people were doing some crazy shit with their faces, and I'm just like watching this happen. I'm like, this is insane, like, this is crazy. But then, like, people will be tripping, and they're in their own little world, and they're looking at me, and I'm just like, I felt fine. Like, I felt I could do anything. I didn't feel drunk, I didn't feel out of it. I just felt like I felt as fresh as I've ever felt in my life, and I just felt the need to look out for people. And when people looked at me, I'd just give them a little nod or a smile or a wave, and just like a thumb up, and yeah, just like a bit of positive energy. So I just felt myself pushing out my energy to other people to make sure they were okay, because they were releasing their trapped pain. And yeah, that evening my intention was to confirm that I'd gone on the right path in life, or I've taken the right decision to, say, quit my one and only unfulfilled day job of over a decade to go on this journey to use the knowledge and experience that I'd gained from facing and overcoming the adversities in my life to help other people. So that was my intention going into the ayahuasca experience, to get almost confirmation that I was on the right track. And for me then, I believe, in my opinion, that's why I was there that night. Like, I didn't really see much, and I remember at one point the Taita comes around and he looks at me and he gives me a little nod, like the shaman, and then one of the guys that works there, he comes up to me and he leant down and he said, "Is everything okay? Is everything okay?" I said, "No, like I'm not feeling anything. Like, everyone else is tripping, and I'm just sat here. Like, I feel like totally fine. Like, I feel like sober. I feel just pure. I feel like nothing is, like, I can do anything. Like, I just feel like there's nothing going on in my head. Like, I'm not experiencing this." And he went, "No, you are experiencing this." He went, like, usually there's one person, especially in the first night, that gets chosen to be a lookout for other people, to make sure, like, the guide, like, to look out for other people. And he went, "Yeah, you're the chosen one tonight." And my intention that night was to ask the medicine if I was on the right journey by going on this self-development journey, to quit my job, to do the coaching, to do the public speaking, to write the books, etc., to help other people through my own adversities in life, to help other people get through their challenges. So yeah, for me it was almost confirmation again that I was on the right track. And again, I wanted confirmation why I was sent back to this earth from that out-of-body experience that I had when I was laying on my deathbed in that coma back in 2011. So again, that just confirmed it to me. And yeah, it was really nice to have that sort of feeling, to just watch other people overcoming their pains and challenges. Yeah, and I wrote here, it was similar to a feeling I experienced once when I done a Tony Robbins event in England. I had a real deep feeling of that similar feeling too, so I wrote it down. And yeah, I remember after that as well, I sort of closed my eyes after maybe a few hours, and now we're heading into the early hours of the morning now, and I closed my eyes and I remember I'm laying there and I just felt so at peace, and I felt so happy, not only for myself but for the other people as well. And yeah, I closed my eyes and then I just start seeing, like, you remember the game Pac-Man? Beep, beep, beep. I see like Pac-Man, but it was with bugs. Again, I don't know where this come from, but it's crazy. So that was the first night. So then going on to the second day, everyone woke up, I wrote, they felt so happy. Was all around the pool. And then yeah, the shamans or the titans, they come round and we're sat by the pool. We had our clothes off, and they come and cleanse our bodies with the fluid, and really smelled good and just purified our bodies. Yeah, we all sat around again and had a word circle, shared amazing experiences of what we all experienced that night prior, and we just learned and listened to each other about their experiences, and some of them were so amazing, so profound about what they went through and what they experienced. So it was so nice, like I say, to be surrounded by amazing people that got so much out of it on the first night. So yeah, I wrote here, I'm looking forward to what the medicine will show me tonight, and my intention is for her to show me how I can use my gifts to have the most positive impact on individuals around the world. So again, yeah, we all chose our beds before 6 p.m. I decided to go close to the music tonight. So yeah, I wanted to be as close to the music. Oh yeah, because bearing in mind, I didn't mention this, there's the sort of indigenous music that's playing for the ayahuasca ceremonies, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was literally like a massage to my brain, and it was like the most beautiful music I've ever heard, and it just penetrated my soul. So I wanted to sit, like I felt the need to sit as close as I can. So I wanted to almost feel the strums of the guitars and the beats of the drum. I wanted to feel it in my body. So I got as close to the stage or to the music as I possibly could that evening. So yeah, I was laying there, and as like above my head is where they're playing the music, and then as I looked through, I could just see the fire burning next to the water there, to the pool. And it was just so peaceful, so beautiful, just watching the fire burn. And then some of the others, they didn't lay on their beds that night. They just went and sat around the fire, and it it just took me to almost like a different planet, almost like it just took me somewhere else for a few moments. And it was just like I'm living like back in the ancient like years. Like this isn't even the modern day. Like it didn't feel like this day and age. And I don't know what I felt. I just felt so happy for these people that were just sat around this fire, and I was just laying there. And yeah, and then it was the time for the first cup. So I was stood waiting, and I looked up and I saw I saw the stars, and they were just incredible. Like it was the most amazing, like the Milky Way up there. And like I love watching the stars. Like I could sit a whole night and just lay and watch the stars. Like I just think it's so interesting. Like we don't even know how small we are. Like we've got all these problems in our head that are so big. If you think your problems are big, fucking look up in the sky one night and just see what's up there. Like your problems ain't shit, I'm telling you. Your problems are nothing compared to what's going on up there. So I just look up and I'm just stood there. And that was it. Yeah, the shamans were up in the garden this time. They were up in the top of the garden in the little hut there, and they were preparing the ayahuasca up in the garden, so it wasn't close to where we was. I don't know why. They've obviously got their own reasons. So as we were waiting to receive the medicine, I'm just stood there and I'm just like, wow, this is incredible. And then I just see this shooting star go across, and I just repeated my intention for that evening. I was just like, please give me what I want to see. So yeah, I remember as I was waiting, I see the stars, and then I go into the brick hut in the garden, and I take my first cup, and this time it was like half a cup. So bearing in mind the first night we got a full shot of ayahuasca, now we got half a cup, and I'm like, okay, whatever, is what it is. They obviously know what they're doing. Like they look into your eyes and stuff, and they say, how are you feeling, blah blah blah. So I take the first cup, and then I return to my bed, and I felt no effects to begin with. But then after a short time, my mouth again, I got that feeling of saliva in my mouth, and I'm just like, I'm gonna purge, I'm gonna be sick, I'm gonna throw up. But then at the time, it was just like it went by, so I just didn't feel like it was time. It sort of disappeared. So I just laid there, and I closed my eyes, and I just listened to the music playing. And it, again, like I say, it's almost like a massage to the brain. Like they're playing this music, and I'm just laying there. And that's it. I started to see these crazy shapes, and I just hear the music, and the beats. I'm just feeling it because I'm so close to the music. There, they're playing the medicine music, and boom, 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 and I'm just feeling the beats in my brain, and then I start to see these crazy shapes. I don't even know what shapes they were, but I see these crazy shapes. But then I just kept seeing teeth and smiles, like they just kept teeth and smiles and lips just kept coming into my brain, my vision. I don't know what it is, but it just kept coming in. I didn't know what it was, but I was just going with it. So then I laid there for an hour or two, and I just kept seeing these teeth and these smiles, and it was making me smile, because I believe a smile is contagious. Like I love to smile, so I just sort of sat there smiling and giggling a bit because I thought it was funny. So then I got up to the second cup, and even though it was half a cup the first time, I went up for the second cup of ayahuasca, and I wasn't really feeling it, but I went up anyway to get it. And I took it, and as I was walking back through the garden, it's only a few steps across the garden, straight away I could just feel myself, I'm going to be sick. So I had my bucket, and I just sat down on my bed, and it wasn't long after, it all come up, and I was sick. I purged. I was laying in the bed, and I felt as if I was being gifted an experience then. So they said, when you're having your experience, be selfish. So I thought, I'm going to be selfish rather than the night before when I felt the urge to look out for other people. I thought, this time I'm going inside and I'm going to have this all to myself. So I took it all in, and I see all these incredible, crazy shapes and colours, and they were just changing from eyes to mouth to teeth and lips. Like lips, teeth, mouth, and loads of eyes just kept appearing. It's crazy, like all these eyes just kept appearing. Like, I don't know where they come from, but I just remember, boo, eyes and teeth and mouths and things and everything and shapes. And then I remember watching everyone, and everyone was full of life. There were literally people dancing around the fire, and I kept hearing one of my friends, her name, I'm not going to mention her name actually, but my friend, she was there, and I just kept hearing her voice above everyone else's, and it just made me just look out for her the most, because like she stood out the most, because her voice, where she was giggling and laughing and just whispering to other people, like it just really stood out to me, and it just made me so happy and just smile so much. And then someone released their anger that they had inside. Bam! They hit their pillow, and it scared everyone. And everyone sort of broke up and come back and divided. And the music stopped, and everyone was around the fire, and it just divided everyone up. And I was still laying there on my bed, and it was just silent for a few moments, and everyone was whispering, and the mood had changed. But then the Taitas, the shamans come, and they changed the music they were playing, because the music has so much effect on your experience. And trust me, for me, it was crazy. Like, the music was one of the most important parts of my whole experience. And the shamans come back and they start playing a different type of music, and everyone just come back round, and the energy again was raised up, and everyone was dancing, everyone was happy again. And it was insane. And this again going into the early hours of that night, and everyone felt so good. And then we all started making our way back to our own beds and falling asleep, and some people stayed outside and fell asleep. So then the next day, which was, I got here the 23rd of February 2023, so 23rd of Feb, I woke up just before 5 a.m. in the ceremony area. That was it. So I didn't go back to my bed. I woke up in the ceremony area, so I just stayed on the mattress and woke up. And that was it. I look out into the hills, and like the scenery there at the retreat is absolutely incredible. There's just mountains and eagles, and it's almost like a movie. Like, it's insane. And I just remember I look out and I just see these beautiful birds just flying across. So I decided to sit with a couple of the girls there, or the women, and we just watched the sunrise come up, and it was amazing. And then we had another fantastic word circle. We obviously shared our experiences, and these word circles go on for hours, literally hours, because everyone shares everything to get it all out, and so we can all experience each other's ayahuasca experience, and then that was it. It was a really beautiful sunny day, and we were sat in the garden, and we sat up in the shelter there, the brick shelter where they done the ayahuasca, the servings from the night before. We sat there in this sunny day, and then the clouds come over and it starts to thunder, and the Taita, the shaman's there, and he's playing the guitar. I got the videos on my phone. It was amazing. He was playing like these beautiful songs, and his voice is amazing. It's incredible. And he's playing these songs, and then bam, 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 and then this thunder comes down, like you get like thunderbolts coming down from the sky, and he's just playing these songs. He carries on. He doesn't let it affect him, and he's playing this amazing music, and we're all dancing, we're singing, we're patting the drums, we're just having the best time. Like, the energy is so good. And then above the mountain you see this rainbow come up, and it's just so thick and so colourful, and really, really nice. We was all a bit tired that afternoon, so we had dinner, and then we all got ready to go to bed quite early that night, because we had to get up early the next day for our first ever day ceremony of ayahuasca. And the shamans, or the people that work there, the people that own the place, that everyone says that the day ceremonies are so much different to the night ceremonies. So obviously we had a crazy experience the 2 nights prior, so we was all excited or interested in what the day ceremonies would bring. So I remember we go to bed, and I remember I set my intentions. So I put my intention as I wanted the ayahuasca, the medicine. I wanted the ayahuasca to show me what she thinks I need to do to stop doing, or she thinks I need to stop doing, and what I should start doing in order to achieve my dream of becoming a global speaker, to help have the biggest influence, to help these confused adults get the best out of their lives. And I want to create my own TV movie in the future. I've had this on my own mind map or my own vision board in the future. Like, I can see myself on TV or in a movie or even both, you know. So I set all my intentions, and yeah, I went to bed that evening feeling fresh, feeling good, feeling happy, and feeling excited for the day ceremonies. So just bear with me, people. Thank you, everybody, for being on here as well. So I've got the 24th of February 2023 this year. So I woke up in the morning feeling fresh, and I took a shower. Again, nice cold shower. Got ready for the morning, got my body prepared, done some good breathing exercises, meditation, etc. And again, that day my bed again was on the back wall, and I went up and took my first cup, and it was the tiniest cup he ever gave me. It was like the smallest sip. But again, I didn't question it. I just trust the Taita, the shaman. I trust him to give me what he needs to give me, because he looked deep into my eyes. Like I say, when he looks at you, it's almost like he's looking into your soul. And I trusted him. I thanked him. I thanked the medicine, and I drank it. And then I felt the need to go and sit up in the garden, so I took this white plastic chair and I went and sat up on the mound on the grass. And I wasn't tripping or anything, but I just felt so overwhelmed with gratitude and how beautiful just life is in general, and just this whole experience, this whole retreat, the surroundings, the view, just every single thing. Like, I just got so overwhelmed with gratitude for my life in general, and I couldn't help it. I just started to bawl my eyes out, and just tears are just running down my face, and I couldn't stop them. And yeah, this tear just kept crying down my eye here, and I couldn't stop it from coming out. And it's just because I felt so good about myself, and so grateful for being able to have the ability to actually do this and experience this and go through the shit that I've gone through in my life and get through the other side, and now to use those lessons to help other people. I felt so good about myself, and just so happy for life, and just so grateful that I was sent back from that out-of-body experience and that near-death experience when I was laying there in a coma back in 2011. So yeah, I just cried for probably an hour or so. And yeah, then I moved the chair back close to the steps, like where the building is. So I put it down, and then it was time to go up for the second cup. So I go up to take the second cup of the ayahuasca, and I remember it was the tiniest, even smaller, it was like the tiniest little dribble of like this black goo was in this shot glass. And I'm just thinking, come on, like, you give me this whole glass and that didn't really do much. This little tiny drop is not going to do anything, so whatever, I went with it. So I go up there, and the Thai tea looks at me, and he said in Spanish to me, have you purged? Have you been sick? Have you vomited? And I looked at him and I said, no, I haven't. And then as soon as I did, he just grabbed the back of my head, and he got his finger and he pushed it there. You could call this your third eye, you could call this your skull, whatever you want to call it, but he pushed his finger there, and it honestly felt like someone had put a cigarette through my skull into my brain. It was so hot, and he just held it there for a second or so, and then he let go. And I remember he just looked at me, and he just gave me like the nicest smile, and he sort of, not winked, but he sort of looked at me, and he gave me like this, and he sort of closed his eyes a bit, and then he nodded, and yeah, he almost gave me like permission to go, and he gave me this, and I took it. Off I went, and I just literally, because it was next to where he was stood, where the stage is for the music, I was sat in this little white plastic chair, and I sat down, and as I sat there, I just felt overwhelmed, or extreme happiness come up through my body, because I was looking out, and I could, from this seat, I just saw everyone. Like, I see people laying there, people were crying, people were upset, people were up in the garden, people were doing yoga, people were messing around with the trees, people were just dancing, people were just so happy, and I just felt nothing but happiness, and I just felt so good about myself. And then all of a sudden I just felt like purging. So I had my plastic bucket there, my best friend, my bucket, and I looked down into this bucket, and I'm like, but nothing would come out. So I feel like purging, like I'd done the previous 2 nights, but nothing was coming up. It was just like nothing. Like the sensation of being sick was happening, but it wasn't doing anything. So then I just started to look up at other people, and I'm sat there, and everyone was just happy. Everyone was just so happy and laughing and joking, and it was just making me laugh. And I remember at one point, this is like another side effect, or whatever, from taking the ayahuasca medicine, and sometimes it can make you cry, sometimes it can make you laugh. And I remember at one point, I just couldn't stop laughing. Like, I'm uncontrollably laughing, and it was so loud, and it was just coming up, and people were just looking at me, and I'm just like, I couldn't stop it. And then my friend over this side, she started laughing. And then another friend, she's on this side, and she's laughing. So there's almost like a triangle of us three. We're just laughing our faces off, and we just couldn't stop laughing. And it was crazy. And again, I'm not sure what happened, but it was just like this laughter come up. So then, yeah, I'm sat there, and then after the laughter happened, it was a bit quiet again, and I hear some sort of music start, a little bit, and it's just getting really nice and beautiful and smooth. And then just out of nowhere, it just blasted me. I don't even know where it took me. Like, you hear these experiences, like you go to different universes, different dimensions. This is what happened to me. Like, it just blasted me somewhere, and I don't even know. Like, things were just instant. And it was crazy. Like, I was in, like, yeah, this is what I wrote down here. It was like I was in, the only way that I can explain this is like I was in a kaleidoscope. I was stuck in a kaleidoscope, but on a roller coaster. And it was just like these colours and shapes and things were happening, and my body would, it was like my brain was just spinning round, and it was absolutely crazy, you know. Yeah, there was the most wonderful, constantly changing and evolving shapes and colours that was absolutely mesmerising. Because bearing in mind, I'm sat next to the stage where they're playing the medicine music, and I've done my second cup of ayahuasca, and all this stuff's happening, and like I say, my brain is just going crazy, and I'm hearing the music like penetrate my brain and my soul, and these shapes are coming, and I'm just like, it's literally like on a roller coaster inside a kaleidoscope. And it was crazy. I just remember seeing these huge triangles with like shapes and diamonds and colours and precious jewels and gems and stuff. It was insane. Yeah, I remember that was happening, and yeah, I remember looking out, and it was even when I opened my eyes, it was still happening, and it was almost like I was in like Alice in Wonderland as well. It was just like crazy. Like, I just couldn't understand what was going on. And yeah, people, like I say, I wrote here, people were coming and going, and things were constantly changing. Like, I felt happy, I felt excited, I felt scared, I felt every single emotion, but it was changing, like, at an instant. I'm not joking, it lasted maybe 2 or 3 seconds, like, happy, like, every single emotion, just so fast, and I couldn't believe how quick it was changing, you know. And I remember, yeah, so bearing in mind this is after the second cup, and they were only tiny cups, but I hadn't yet purged, and the previous 2 nights I'd been sick, I'd vomited. So I remember I looked down at myself, and my belly was like rumbling bad, but I looked down and it was moving, my stomach was moving, and it was kicking, and it was like I was pregnant. And I remember I'm looking around at everyone, I'm like, I can't explain myself, and they're looking, I'm just like pointing at my stomach, and they're like, they don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm looking down and my stomach is kicking. It just felt like I was pregnant, and it blew my mind. I'm like, I'm fucking pregnant. Like, this is crazy. Like, I've got an ayahuasca baby, and like, it just scared me so bad, and my heart was going, and I was like, ah, and I was like, I'm pregnant. Like, how the fuck am I pregnant? But I am, and nothing made sense. And then, yeah, my heart was beating so fast. It was like my heart, I was just like, it's gonna blow up. My heart's gonna blow up, and I'm gonna die. And then, yeah, I remember I was staring down at my left leg, and it was just bent. My leg was bent, and I'm like, how the fuck, how have I bent my leg? Like, my leg was just bent, and I got really scared, and I was like, what the fuck? And yeah, I remember my arm, I was just looking at my arm, and my hand was just doing this, and I couldn't stop it. And then this is the craziest part. So at one point, I really needed to shit myself. Like, I needed to take a poo, but I couldn't get myself up to the toilet. And then it kept changing to I needed to piss myself. So it was like, I'm gonna either piss or shit myself sat here in front of everyone. But it kept changing so quick. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. But I couldn't tell anyone. and like my heart was going, it was like so crazy, this experience. And then I just looked down at my shorts and I didn't have a dick anymore, and there was like a Cornish pasty, or for my Latin friends, like an empanada as a dick. And I'm like, I don't understand this, like I don't have a dick anymore. But then I thought, you can't take a pee for an empanada or a pasty, so maybe I don't need a pee. And then my heart slowed down and it was fine. And then I remember, everything was just weird, and like it just felt I didn't exist anymore. And all of a sudden, I remember I was feeling my heartbeat, and I was like, I'm dead, but I'm still alive. Like everything's okay. So I remember I was checking my pulse, and I didn't have a pulse, and I'm just like, all my heart was beating so fast, and now it's stopped. But I don't feel dead. I feel fine. Like I feel everything's okay, and I'm looking around. Everything was as it was, and I was still here, but my heart wasn't beating. I'm just like, why worry? There's no point in worrying. Like everything's okay. Like I was worrying that whole experience about the empanada and the shapes and the roller coaster, and like I had all this worry whilst I was going through that thing. But then I said to myself, just trust this. I'm tripping. I need to just calm and down and trust the journey. Trust what the medicine's showing me. And then, I remember I was looking around and everything was just beautiful, but it was even more beautiful than it already is. So I'm looking at people and they just looked even better than they always looked, and everything was just like so much more HD, and everything was amazing. And I'm just like, wow, this is beautiful. And I remember I thought, this is gonna, it just kept going on and on and on. And I just kept reminding myself, this is only the trip, it's only the trip. And things were just happening so quick, and I can't explain it. But then I said to myself at one point, I'm trapped here forever. Like there's no way out. Like I'm trapped in this different dimension forever. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this place. But then I thought, you know what, it's okay. Like it's all happening for a reason. So just trust it, and it's going to be fine. And then more things happened. So then I remember my friend, I'm not going to mention her name, but I spoke to her earlier. I hope she watches this, but she was sat behind me. She's from America, and she was sat behind me on the sofa, and she was also tripping. And I remember I looked around her, and she sort of sat there like, we're just like laughing at each other, because like we're both obviously tripping, and we're going through these crazy experiences, and we both turn our heads, and we look up onto the mound, and there's just a dog laying on a yoga mat sunbathing, and it just looks at us, and we're just like, what the fuck is going on? And like we just couldn't understand what was happening. It was like the funniest thing ever. And then another dog walks by and it just bites its own bum. I don't know how it done it, but it just like looked at me and bit its bum and just run off, and we're just like, what the fuck is happening? Like it was crazy. And then the Taito, he stopped playing the music, like the shaman, and then he walked past and he was just, I could feel his eyes just staring at me like so strong. They were like glaring at me, and I looked around and his face was just like the biggest smile I've ever seen, and I just looked at him, I just felt like so connected to him, and he just leant down and he just literally grabbed me and he gave me like the biggest cuddle I've ever received in my life, and he just looked and he just laughed, he just smiled, and he walked off, and I was just like, wow, that was incredible. But I couldn't literally leave that chair. I was glued to the chair. And I remember I was looking out to other people at one point, just making sure, again, everyone's okay, and I was waving to people, and they were waving to me, and they were happy. And I remember I was stuck to this chair, and I kept hearing them say, like, he hasn't moved from that chair all day, and my leg was getting burnt by the sun, and I couldn't even tell anyone I needed sunscreen. I couldn't get up to go and get it, but I don't know, it was fine, it was okay. So we sat there, and I remember just so much stuff is happening. It was just crazy. Like I couldn't understand really what was going on, but I trusted it so much. The journey, it just felt so right. It felt what I needed to see as well. So again, I was a little bit scared to start with, but then after sort of like my heart stopped beating, everything was fine, and then everything was sort of not back to normal, but it just really chilled out again. And then again, the Taitas, they come, the shamans, and they started to play a different kind of music, and it changed the vibe once more. And one of the guys that works there and this girl that I was talking about that was behind me, they were both behind me, sat on the sofa, and then they stood up and they were speaking. But suddenly in my mind, things become super, super loud. Like, I'm not joking, I look up and I could see like an eagle, but I could hear it beep, 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 I could hear it tweeting, but then I could hear bugs come past, but they would be across the garden, but I could hear them super loud. I don't know what was happening, but things were happening really, really loud in my mind, and I could hear people whispering across the garden, but I could hear them so loud. And I turned round because they were whispering behind me, but I could hear the whole conversation because it was so loud in my ear. And as I turned round, I remember they were both stood up and they were speaking in fluent Hebrew. Obviously they weren't, they were speaking in English, but in my mind it was translating it in Hebrew, and I don't know what they were saying, but it was coming out in perfect Hebrew, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm staring at them, and they're sort of just carrying on the conversation literally right next to me, and I'm just looking up like, what the fuck? I couldn't understand what was going on. And then they sat down, and as soon as they sat down, literally the moment their bums touched the sofa, it just flipped to French. It was like perfect French. And I'm just like, I cannot understand what was going on. And then the guy that works there, he stood up and he looked at me and then he started to speak. But when he spoke, it come out in like the deepest Russian accent I've ever heard. It was so deep. And he just said something. I looked at him and I wrote it here now. I looked up at him and I went, what the fuck did you just say? And he looked at me and he went, I said, if I can find a banana, would you like one? And I went, no, leave me alone. And I was sat there just like glued to my chair. And I remember at some points I was back on the roller coaster and things were happening. And and then at some points it was like, things have stopped happening. I was like, everything's fine now. So I was looking around sort of like waving to people like, yeah, this is cool. And I'm looking at people like hoping everyone's okay and stuff. And then it just fucking took me on that roller coaster again. I remember at one point I'm hanging off the side of this chair, and then I open my eyes and my face is literally almost touching the floor. I don't know how I got there, but I'm hanging down the front of the chair, and it's just on this roller coaster. And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? So that was that. And then, I remember it got to maybe like, I think maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon, bearing in mind we started at 6. It got to about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just thought, I'm so hungry. And then I thought, actually, I never want to eat food again. I'm not hungry. I don't want food. And then I thought, I really want food. And it kept changing. And I heard the kitchen staff making the food, and then I see people start to walk out with plates of food. So I was like, it's time to get up. So I stood up, and I went and got a plate of food, and I come back, and everyone was just saying, like, that is the first time you've left the chair all day. And I'm just like, I can't even explain what has been going on. Now I ate my food and I was like, it's fine, it's all over now. So I sat in my chair and fuck me, it took me even further than before. And I don't know where it took me, but I was back on that roller coaster and I was going through the kaleidoscope, and my mind was just twisting and turning, and wow, it was crazy. And then I would then think of certain people. Like this is weird as fuck, but I don't know how. But I could start to predict the future. I don't know how this happened, but I was literally predicting the fucking future. Like I knew who was going to come around the corner, or who was going to walk in front of me, or who was going to touch me and say something. Like I'd know, that guy over there, the guy from wherever he's from, he's going to come round from the garden in like 5 minutes time. He's going to walk and he's going to put his hand on my left shoulder. He's going to lean down and he's going to say into my right ear, Ryan, you are amazing. And he's going to smile and walk off. And I thought of it, and I'm not joking, I'd sit there and I'd just be like, woo, like trippy, and then it'll happen. But then it didn't happen once, it happened like twice, 3, 4, 5 times, and it kept happening. And I'm just like, how is this shit happening? Like my mind was just like, I don't know how, but it was predicting the fucking future. So I'm just like, this is crazy. And everything was just happening the way it should have happened. Like it was happening exactly the way it should have. And then, I remember at one point, like I said, because I heard the bug so loud, I was getting attacked by bugs. Well, I thought I was getting attacked by bugs. And then it felt like there was a fly in my mouth. And there wasn't, obviously, but it just felt like I had a fly in my mouth. And I remember I said to one of the guys that worked there, I was like, and he's like, I was like, I have a fly in my mouth. And he's like, let me see. So I was like, He's like, you don't? I was like, I do. I remember I just sat there for ages trying to pick this fly out of my mouth, but there obviously wasn't nothing there. And So that was crazy. And there was one more crazy thing where there was like this label that was someone stuck on my bottle from, I thought it was the airport, but it turned out it was the actual shopping centre. But for ages my mind was blown because I just couldn't understand it. Yeah, and finally things did calm down, and it really, really chilled out. But then, yeah, that evening I felt, as much as it was like a roller coaster, and it felt like I'd run probably like 10 marathons just by sat on that chair all day. I felt so good that evening. I just felt so peaceful, so chilled, so relaxed. And yeah, I just felt like, I can't really even explain how I felt, but it was just absolutely incredible. And people would listen to this and they'd be like, no way I could handle that. But I thought the same. But for me, like now looking back, it was exactly what I needed to experience, because I'm going to tell you some of the things that I learned from it at the end. So yeah, and then we went to bed that night, just chilled out, obviously, because it was a long day. So then the next day, obviously, the fourth and final ceremony, which was the day ayahuasca ceremony again, 25th of February. So I wake up early in the morning, I get ready, have a nice cold shower, etc. And then I put here on my journal, after yesterday's crazy journey, I wasn't feeling today's one. I changed beds again and I went to get my first cup, and I really didn't enjoy it. And I was thinking if I should even have a second one or not. So I remember when I went up to the taita, to the shaman, I said, give me like the smallest amount. So he gave me like a drop, and I took it, and I was just like, it tastes disgusting. Like, it tastes absolutely disgusting. Bearing in mind, like the first night, I was like, it tastes pretty decent. But now I was just like, that is the worst thing I've ever put in my mouth. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to have a second cup. So I sat there for a couple of hours. I wasn't tripping. I just felt quite peaceful, but my stomach was just like, nah, don't get a second cup. And then the music come on. And then as soon as the music come on, I just felt so good. And again, I felt my body felt really, really good, and everything was okay, and made me feel happy again. So I'm laying there, and then the second cup was ready. And I didn't want to take it at first, but then I finally got myself up and I went and I was like, again, give me the smallest amount. And then I went back and laid down. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, more people come with more instruments, and they played the most amazing music that I've ever heard in my life. It was absolutely crazy. Yes, and then at some point, because the music was that good, like I was laying there and I was like, I can't lay here. I had to get up, so take the cover off. I get up and I start walking around like the premises, around the garden. I start walking around, and I'm just so happy. And I'm just looking at everyone, like we're cuddling each other. We're like just happy for each other because the music is just so good, and it's just brought the energy up. And those people that I looked at the first few nights that were really getting these deep buried emotions out of their body, like the deep sadness and pain that they had suffered previously, I just see how happy they were. And again, it just made me feel so grateful and so happy to see how this had changed their lives, and see how they got through the other side, and they see the light, you could say, at the end of the tunnel, and they were so happy, and you could just tell by the smiles on their faces. So it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, just all listening there and dancing and just listening to this amazing music. Yeah, and then, I just enjoyed watching again. Like I said, I just enjoyed watching everybody. Some people were still tripping, some people were sick even that day as well, but it was just so nice to see, like the final, say, ceremony day, how happy and how changed everyone was over a course of a few days, Absolutely incredible to see the transition, or to see the progress, to see the change over those few days. And then, we sort of stopped for a bit of lunch, in the afternoon, and we all got into the swimming pool, and it was just so nice, such a good energy and good feeling. We had some really good food that evening, and we had like the most amazing word circle to finish the week off, and it went on for hours. So that was that. And then the final day, the day that we went home, I believe, let me just check. The day we went home, 26th of February, I put here, I woke up feeling super grateful for life and for the week-long ayahuasca experience. Because, that morning I just woke up and I just felt fresh. I felt bliss. I felt fine. I felt good, and I felt so happy. And the energy in that place, in like the setting, like in the area, in the building, the energy was just amazing, and everyone felt so at peace and so at bliss. So yeah, I just wrote some things here now. So I want to tell you 3 of the main lessons now that I learned from this ayahuasca experience, and especially from that first day experience, that first day trip, where it sent me to crazy places, and my heart stopped, and I was pregnant, and all this crazy stuff that happened. Like, that taught me the most important lessons. So what I'm going to teach you now, as I sort of finish up, 3 main important lessons is, number 1, nothing in life is permanent. And I mean nothing is permanent. Any sort of shit that you're going through in life, any challenge, any difficulty, any pain, any suffering, whatever it is that you're going through in life, nothing, and I mean nothing, is permanent. So just trust the process that, yeah, you have to go through the shit in order to get through to the shiny stuff in your life. You can't have good stuff all the time. Like, life isn't linear. It isn't a one-way street. Nothing is great all the time. It can't be. You have to experience the shit. You have to experience the bad stuff in order to experience the good stuff too. So just remember, when you're going through the good stuff, appreciate it. Be grateful for the good stuff in your life. When you're going through the shit, just realise it's not going to last forever, and things will change. So that's number 2. Everything changes, and I mean every single thing changes. I was there, I was fucking on a roller coaster, I was falling off a cliff, I was pregnant, my arm bent, my dick turned into an empanada. Like, what the fuck is going on? Everything was changing so quick. And it's the same in life. Like, things change, and things change bloody quick as well. Like, you think, oh, I've got this problem in my life and it's going to last forever, or I'm stuck in this job, or I'm in a relationship. Everything changes, and it's down to you as well. It's down to you to get the change process beginning. It's down to you to take the first actions. So just know, nothing lasts forever, and everything changes. That's 2 learnings. And then number 3 is what I learned from this ayahuasca experience, was that the right people will always come into your life at the right time. Sometimes it isn't the people that you want, or the people that you think you don't need in your life, but they are the people that you need in that moment, because they are coming to teach you a lesson. It may be painful in the short term, but it's not permanent. They're going to teach you a lesson, or they're going to tell you something that you need to then use to advance in your life. So just know that the right people will always come into your life at the right time. So that's the 3 learnings that I've learned from this week-long ayahuasca experience earlier this year. So number 1, nothing is permanent. Number 2, everything changes. And number 3, the right people will always come into your life at the right time. So I just want to end now on one last chapter or paragraph, that I wrote here in my journal on the last day, just before we left on the bus. So just before I'm going to read it, I just want to say thank you for everybody that stayed here, everybody that's joined in, everybody that's listened, everybody that will listen. Thank you so much for listening for my ayahuasca experience back in February this year, and the learnings, the lessons, the crazy shit that happened. And if anyone has any questions, please do feel free to reach out to me, DM me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have and tell you even more about any of the things that you want to go into deeper. For me, it was a really, really great experience, and yeah, I would do it again, and I would like to actually do it again. So yeah, I think it's absolutely incredible. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Look it up yourself. Do your own research, like I had to do myself. And yeah, just listen to your body more. So I just want to end on my last paragraph that I wrote just before leaving that day. So I wrote here: life is such a beautiful gift, and anything is possible. Our minds are capable of achieving anything, and the universe is magical, and it is full of opportunities, and we can't always see everything with just our eyes. So trust the universe, trust the process of life, and meet as many people as possible. Everything is happening for me, in my favour, even though sometimes it can feel like certain things are happening to me. So just know that everything that happens in your life is happening for you, and it's not happening to you. So when you're going through these shitty experiences, they're being gifted to you in order for you to choose to learn, because everything in life is a lesson, everything is a gift, but it's down to you as the individual to choose to learn from that experience, because in life pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. So just know that whatever it is painful, look out for the lessons, be a lifelong learner, and ask yourself these questions. What is this difficult situation trying to teach me, and what can I learn from this difficult situation? So just remember those three things. Nothing is permanent, everything changes, and the right people will always come into your life at the right time. So I just want to say that's me done now, and thank you so much for listening. It's been way over an hour, so I appreciate anyone that's going to watch this full episode, or anyone that did stick with me the whole episode, and anyone that's just popped their head in as well. So like I say again, one more time before I go, if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to tag the link for the retreat in there, and I'm going to tag them in there. So if anyone wants any further information, feel free to reach out to me or reach out to the retreat themselves. I've got I'm not monetizing from this at all. It's just my own experience. So I just want to help anyone that's interested in learning more about this. So if you are interested and you do want to do your own research, I can send you more links or videos or answer any questions. But I just want to say thank you so much to everyone. And yeah, anyone that's a bit unsure about this, just be a bit more open-minded, because life is magical. Like the stuff that happens in life, some of it is unexplainable. So if you don't believe in magic and miracles, you want to look what's going on around, because some things, how can you explain some things? Like, how the fuck can I be doing this now? I'm on a video phone and you're listening from the other side. How's that possible? I don't know how it's possible. It obviously is, but how the fuck can my face be on your screen and you're on the other side of the world? So that just goes to show how magical and crazy this life is. So thank you so much, people, for coming on. And yeah, I'm going to speak to you on the next live. Thank you so much, and speak soon, everybody.